Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome everybody. This is Ihsan, and I am very happy and very pleased, very honored to be here with Imam Fode Drame. Thank you for joining us, Imam Fode.
It's my pleasure.
And
Ihsan.
Alhamdulillah.
Barakallah, thank you for the opportunity.
Alhamdulillah, I'm very happy to have this opportunity, Imam, to have this interview with you for a few minutes, just to kind of introduce your work to the audience, to people out there who may not yet be familiar with your work and your focus and in your attempts to revive Islam and really the knowledge of the Qur'an.
That's right.
So we're here in Vancouver, and I've had the honor and pleasure to be here with Imam Fode Drame. Today, in fact, is the launch of his new book, his latest book. So Imam, you have a series of books called the Expansion Series.
Yes.
And this is volume 6, I believe?
This is volume 6, yes.
Volume 6.
Yes.
So today, Imam Fode Drame is launching his new book, the Book of Knowledge, and it's part of the Expansion Series. And I'm going to have Imam, inshallah, actually explain, what this is about, what his series and his work is about, and inshallah, I think it's going to be of a great value to people who tune in regularly to this material, because I know that most of you guys have a deep interest in spirituality and in cultivating and reviving the excellence of Islam. So without further ado, thank you again, Imam, for joining us.
Thank you.
And for those who are not familiar, maybe if you can just give a little bit of a background about yourself.
Okay.
I know sometimes it's uncomfortable to put somebody on the spot like that, but
Alhamdulillah.
inshallah.
I'm more than happy to do that. I come from a clerical community, which is largely based in the Gambia and Senegal, in the area of Bundu, in eastern Senegal. The Yank community has a long history. They ended the recorded history in around maybe about 1,000 of Christian era, when recorded history. They came into history, but they might have pre-existed that recording. So at that point in time, they are based as a community in Mali, an area called Jah. That's where the name comes from, Jah, meaning somebody from Jah. Jah is a very well-known area in Mali, where various ethnicities meet. There are Arabs there, Berbers, even some people probably say maybe there are Jews also there at that time. So, and of course, Black Africans. So it was a melting pot, Jah. It was in Jah that they came as a community, and they drew from all these ethnic groups.
MashaAllah.
So Yaranki particularly can go to all this.
And there's always something special about melting pots.
Exactly.
Because they're drawing and able to access so many different cultures, traditions of knowledge.
Yeah.
And you always get something new and amazing that comes from that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That fusion of different cultures and different energies, and it's very beautiful. The produce are very beautiful. So the Aga community is a product of such a fusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So therefore, they always identify themselves as a religious community, not as an ethnic community. So and as such, they are known across history as people who are only devoted to cultivating, learning, and piety.
Mm-hmm.
So from Mali, the community leader at that point was Ihsan Suare, who had made Hajj 7 times at that time. And at the 7th time, he decided he wanted to stay now in Hijaz and live the rest of his life there. But while he was making a tawaf, he had a voice that spoke to him that, no, you must go back to West Africa and spread the deen, the religion. So he came back and then led his community, and he eventually moved from Jah and went into Bambogo, which is another area in Mali, and then that's where he passed away. And then the communities started to disseminate in the whole region. So they ended up in eastern Senegal, Bundu, probably 500 years ago. And that's where they were until the English and the French colonies began to penetrate into those countries. Yeah.
So an ancient tradition rooted in a fusion of different cultures and branches of knowledge.
That's right.
And I've heard that the Jahanke people are known to be the people of the Qur'an.
Yes.
That this is sort of a field of knowledge that they have really specialized in.
That's true. That's true. Everything till today is centered around Quran in all their gatherings. That's what they read. Yeah. So their learning is very Quran centered, and that love for Quran that I inherited that I grew up in that. I have Quran around me all the time, and slowly, in my childhood, my father was my first teacher, and of course I learned Quran, even the alphabet. Their system is all based in the Quran. So we learn to read and write through Quran. So we don't use the usual alphabet, tasa or abad. We don't use that. We use the Quran by Bismillah. So we have Bismillah, Fatiha. So B by Sini Mimara. So we learn the name of the letters through the Quran. Then we come back and the B Asmi A La Lahi A La Ra Ahmani. So everything the whole alphabet we study through the Quran.
MashaAllah.
So by then you are very imbued, you are very immersed. Kind of Quran becomes just enmeshed. So that love for Quran, sort of, I was raised in that, and then I did after finishing Quran, memorizing Quran. I also, of course, studied the basic text of fiqh according to the Maliki madhab. That's the only madhab in West Africa and North Africa, and also the Arabic language and its and sciences like grammar and conjugation stuff, and then some. Also, the Mada'ih Nabawiyya also is very important. So there are two major Mada'ih Nabawiyya that are famous in the young context. One is the Al-Burda, the old Burda, called the Burda that was sung by the Sahabi, Ka'b. So that's also famous. That's the one that they usually sing in Ramadan after every Taraweeh. And also what they call Al-Ishriniyat. That's also a praise poem composed by Al-Fazazi, who was an Andalusian scholar. And then another scholar from Timbuktu added, they call Takhmis, added some couplets on it. So this is what they sing every Friday and on all religious occasions. So we also studied that as well. And eventually we study Maqamat al-Hariri. It's a very difficult language book. And then we studied the pre-Islamic poetry in Arabia. And then eventually you are ready for Tafsir al-Quran al-Karim and becoming, once you finish that, you master the Quran, then they name you Fode. So Fode is the title. I mean that somebody who has mastered Quran. So the one that I'm named after, which is my mother's uncle, he was a Fode. And his real name was Ibrahim. So that's my real name.
Ibrahim.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
So Imam, you come from a long lineage of deep knowledge in the Quran and immersion in the light of the Quran, the knowledge of the Sunnah, and you found yourself at some point at a fairly young age in the West,
That's right.
in Canada.
That's right.
What then inspired you, and what was it that then sort of made it apparent that you needed to begin to share this knowledge with the wider world? Because so many people have come to Islam through your work and through your service,
Exactly.
And so many people found their way back to Islam through that as well.
That's true.
So what was it, Imam? What was it that then inspired you to then really sort of focus primarily on just sharing the knowledge of the Qur'an with the Western world?
When I had a cousin who had emigrated to Quebec, Montreal, in Canada to study, and he proposed that if I would like to come, that he can apply for me at the University of Quebec in Montreal, which he did, and I got accepted. And but at that point, my only intention was to come and study and go back and continue where my father lives off, So it was never my intention to stay. And but Allah had a different plan for me. So when I came, that was just beginning of 95, the last day or last 2 days of 94, so 95. And so I joined the university for 95, 96, and 97. But when I was coming, I went to see my father to bid him farewell, and I will not see him again after that. But as though he sensed that that we will not meet again, he gave me a wazifa. That's all he gave me. He told me that no matter what happens, you hold on to this. And so he dictated it. I wrote it myself, and that's all I came with. Besides maybe $500 in my pocket and that piece of paper. Yeah, and Alhamdulillah. But the life, because I'm not used to traveling or living outside, it was hard for me at the beginning. Pace of life was too fast. So I struggled quite a bit. And in the first year or first and the second year, I had to juggle between going working and also going to the university. So while in the middle of that, I sort of had forgotten what my father gave me because I was so busy. But one day, Alhamdulillah,
Life in the West tends to make us
yes,
fall into that very often, very easily.
and so I know what happens to people. I just that Allah help me, and otherwise I will just go with the flow. So at some point, I was inspired just to look at this thing that my father gave me that was so important to him. And so I went and looked for the piece of paper in my luggage, and I found it. And I began to utilize it. And as I did so, I noticed a change. I noticed that my consciousness is changing. And so the love for God was started to grow in my heart. And so every day I will finish the word, and I also read the Khairat, which was I saw my father every day read that his entire life. So I had a copy of that as well. So I'll do my word, the one Khairat every day. And so Alhamdulillah, a different world began to open up unfold itself in front of me. And the first remarkable change I noticed was that I began to dream, and my dreams coming true the next day. So at this point, that began to happen. So I knew that I'm in the process of a transformation that I didn't know what, because I didn't have, at that point in time, a physical sheikh with me who can tell me, do this or do this. But my father was the one who was my sheikh, and I'll constantly see him too in my dreams as well, guiding me and telling me to do things. So I from by middle of '96, I had one particular dream that sort of changed the entire direction of my life. I dreamt that there is a group of people lined up for prayer, except that the place of the Imam was empty. And I saw that I came and I stood where the Imam supposed to be and led the prayer. So after this dream, maybe a week later, there was an Islamic center in West Island, Montreal. They had no Imam. And they were looking for someone to lead the Jummah for them and teach the kids on the weekends. And so somebody who knew me at the university also goes to this musalla, this center. He told them, I know somebody who is learned in Islam. I can talk to him, maybe he might agree to accept to help. So he told me, I said, no problem, this is my vocation. And we don't take money for this because my father doesn't have a salary. He earned his own living and also do the function of imam and teach people for free. So I said, it doesn't matter to me whether they pay me or not, I'll do it. So I sat down, they came and see me and sat down with me and we discussed. They said, the center is very small, the means are very scanty, but we can offer you $300, Canadian dollars, 350. And so that didn't even cover my rent. I said, no problem, I'll do it. So I began to, this is how my vocation as a da'iya and as a teacher in North America began. So I began to teach. I did lead the Jummah prayers and teach the kids on the weekends. And but my progress spiritually is still ongoing. My encounters in the Qur'an began to also become very vivid. I had a very powerful dream of between waking and sleeping. Also in which I saw the Prophet ﷺ, and he has a big Qur'an in front of him, and I'm sitting on his right side, and he's sort of teaching me the Qur'an, and he was passing his hand on line by line until we finished the whole Qur'an. And from that point, my insight into Qur'an has become very different from before. Yes, I have gained a deeper understanding of Quran, and from that day I knew that Quran has completely its meaning and it has settled down in my heart. Yeah, and Alhamdulillah, all these expansions are the fruits of that one moment teaching that I received from the one who received the Quran. So this is the beginning of my journey with the Quran. Yes.
MashaAllah, amazing, Imam.
Yeah.
And now here we are about almost over 20 years later.
Yes.
And a lot has happened since then. You've moved out to the west coast of Canada.
That's right.
Based primarily in Vancouver. You've
Exactly.
founded the Qausain Institute for Learning for Young Children, school.
That's right.
You've got the Zawiya Foundation. You published numerous books, a translation of the Qur'an, of Qalam magazine.
That's right.
You are conducting, mashallah, retreats now, and I've had the honor and the privilege to attend several of them. It's been, beautiful and transformative experiences.
That's right.
Really an opening into the depth and the light of the Qur'an.
That's right.
Now, here we are at this point, Imam, and you're just about to release. You've just published the new book.
That's right.
The Book of Knowledge, which is volume 6 in the expansion series.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Book of Knowledge and why the relevance of this now?
That's right. Alhamdulillah, one of the major insights that God has bestowed upon me in the Quran is that I have discovered that the Quran is centered around 7 principles. Also, we call them the 7 characteristics, or the 7 words. And this discovery is quite revolutionary in terms of an approach to Quran. It's completely new, even though it's new in the sense that it's the presentation now is new, but is always there because somebody asked Aisha anha about the character or the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ, and her answer was kana khulquhu Quran. His character was Quran. So Quran is nothing but a book of character, embodied by the Prophet ﷺ. So the words are from Allah, and the way the words are embodied, that's what we call character. So it says that وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلْقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Allah says, oh, you, talking to the Prophet ﷺ, you have a most magnificent character. So we know that Quran primarily is a book of character. It's meant to develop the personality of a human being to the point that they become very upright. And once they have become very upright, they become a true mirror of the light of God. Yeah. So that's ultimately the purpose. So if you most of my writings are centered around the 7 akhlaq, which is tawbah and tahara and taqwa and sabr and ihsan and qist and tawakkul. So this being the 7 characteristics around which the entire Quran is centered. So alhamdulillah, my writings have been their focus, the focus on this akhlaq. Each of these akhlaq bears a fruit, and that fruit is knowledge and mercy. I mean, once somebody embodies one of these characteristics, they earn the love of God. And once you love God, then God opens for you the treasures of knowledge and mercy, become accessible to you. So it says that, so the doors of ghaib, as they call it, the unseen, which is where knowledge comes from and mercy comes from. So characteristics leads you to love, and love leads you to knowledge and the unfettered knowledge and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ. Allah says taqwa is one of them. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Have taqwa and Allah will grant you mercy. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. Have taqwa and Allah will grant you knowledge. So this 6th volume is about knowledge. It's about how to get to knowledge. What is the way? What is the methodology? What's the approach to the true knowledge that comes from God's own presence? So hence also knowledge is defined in a very different terms. It's not defined in terms of book knowledge. divine in terms of knowledge that is granted from God's presence. Because that's how the teacher or the guide in the story of Sayyidina Musa in Kahf is described by Allah. فوجد عبدا من عبادنا آتيناه رحمة من عندنا وعلمناه من لدنا علما. They met a servant from our servants who was granted mercy from us and was granted knowledge from our presence. So that mercy and knowledge that this man had stems from him fulfilling the characteristic and earning this knowledge and mercy, which he was about to impart and share with Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam.
This, of course, is the reference to Khidr alayhi salam, Surah Al-Kahf.
Surah Al-Kahf, exactly. Yes. So, so the book of knowledge is about that. So, inshallah, after this book, my next plan is to publish the book of wisdom. As you know, wisdom and knowledge are always mentioned together in the Qur'an al-Karim. And then after that, the book of Istiqamah will come, which is the ultimate purpose of both knowledge and wisdom. Yeah. And primarily, all the messengers, their purpose is to teach people wisdom and knowledge. However, at some point, the method is what get lost. Yeah, the method of accessing knowledge, the method of accessing wisdom. So, inshallah, the book is a reminder again. It's a refresher on the methodology that is expounded in the Qur'an that allows a human being to have access to God's knowledge.
And mashallah, you make the distinction between knowledge and maybe what might be called information. You know, a lot of times we can see how easy it is to fall into the trap of studying and acquiring book knowledge.
Exactly.
And many of the great teachers have warned against this. Many of the great ulama and awliya have really warned their students about the danger, the trap of falling into the false assumption that you're progressing by acquiring more information. By just simply studying the Qur'an or tajweed or fiqh or hadith or any of these.
That's right.
What you're saying essentially, Imam, and what we hear many of the great ulama saying is that more important is the realization, the manifestation of the reality of that knowledge in the heart.
That's right. That's what I'm saying, yes. Which is described in terms of khashya. God says that the people who have knowledge are the people who have deference for God. And deference is a state of the heart called khashya. So it again comes back to the characteristics, to embodying this that God loves. By embodying them, then you have access to the ongoing commandment of God that comes with knowledge and wisdom every day. So God says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask people of dhikr, see, if you don't know. So it is they who have knowledge. And people of dhikr are people who are constantly in touch with God. And hence they get fresh knowledge from God on a daily basis. So knowledge is something that is a moment to moment. Yes.
It's fresh, it's alive.
It's fresh, it's alive, it's now.
Yeah.
Yes, that's called knowledge. Yes.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that I love about your message and your work, Imam, is the emphasis on character development.
Exactly.
Again, we have this, you can find within our community and within many religious groups and communities and traditions, this idea that maybe having a certain belief system makes a person pious, or doing certain physical acts of worship makes a person good.
Exactly.
But essentially, what you're emphasizing is that those outward expressions of religion are only made complete when the character of the individual, their heart, their soul, the intention is in integrity with that, is consistent with that, that there's real character development, these qualities that you mentioned, this prophetic character of love and mercy and compassion, patience, tolerance, all of these things have to be manifest in the believer for the practices and for the information to really have benefit.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my emphasis. Um, the Prophet ﷺ himself have made a mission statement. And his mission statement is this: إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. That God sent me only to perfect. So it's a mission statement. Only. In Arabic, innama, only, I'm sent to perfect good characters. Yeah. So this is his mission. And which means that I'm sent to teach mankind how to be loved by their Creator. And how to love them, because character and love are tied together. The only thing in the Quran God says, I love. In the entire Quran has to do with character. If you read the Quran, there's no place in the Quran where it says that God loves those who pray a lot. God loves those who give a lot of zakat. God loves those who know. Only those who have character. God loves those who have tawbah. God loves people who purify themselves. God loves people who are patient. God loves people who have excellence. So these are the characteristics. So love is based only on this. You want God to love you, don't try to seek that through just action and ritual devotion. You seek it through building a nice character. That's the doorway to God's love, and dance into the treasures of God in terms of mercy and knowledge.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
And this is such an important message, Imam, especially because, we see people that become religious, and there's this idea that they're serving God, that they may be now doing more and better than other people. Maybe self-righteousness begins to take root in the heart, a certain pride and arrogance. And then also with that comes a lot of times harshness and rigidity. And, rather than the human being becoming softer and more gentle, like our beloved Prophet you sometimes see the opposite. Essentially, again, the message that you're focusing on is that that's not the right approach.
Right approach. It's the focus that is wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the focus that is wrong. So inshallah, my entire concentration is on helping people develop these characteristics, and that's the area, inshallah, that I'm focused on. And once you have achieved that goal, once somebody's character is nicely built, don't worry about the rest. The rest just falls in.
Allah grants.
Everything else comes. Yes. So this is the right. This is the door. This is the right door, inshallah, to enter God's presence, is to come with a heart that is in a good shape.
Allahu Akbar. Qalbun salim.
قلب سليم إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم.
Allahu Akbar.
Exactly.
Inshallah. Well, thank you, Imam, for this interview and for this moment. I know you're busy and there's a lot happening today with the book launch.
Yes.
Very excited about the book launch. Imam Fode's Book of Knowledge comes out today. I believe it'll be available for order online as well, via Amazon.
Yeah, via Amazon from after today.
Okay.
It'll be available, inshallah.
Very good.
You can buy it online.
So again, the Book of Knowledge, available on Amazon.com and probably other resources as well. To learn more about Imam Fode and his work, you can visit Imam Fode's website, zawiya.ca, and we'll have the link in the description below this video. And again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Again, thank you again. Jazakallah khairan, Sayyidi Imam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and support you in this work and this mission, and support all of us, inshallah, to really embody the character of our beloved Prophet inshallah ta'ala, with his barakah and nur, to reach to the pleasure of Allah Almighty.
Ameen Allah, ya Rabb. Ameen Allah. Inshallah, thank you, Ihsan, inshallah. Also, Allah, and I bless this good work that you are doing to spread the good word. Inshallah, Ameen. Ameen. تقبل الله. الله accept إن شاء الله.
اللهم آمين. Thank you.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام
ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعليكم السلام.